Well, hello. Welcome once again to Pale Blooms and Beyond. Thank you for joining us today. Martin Nelte is a German singer who is the lead vocalist and frontman of the indie pop band Brideshead. The band was formed in Wiesbaden in 1993 and went through a couple of lineup changes early on. The current members are Martin on vocals, Zwen Keller on guitar, Hans Christian Mahler guitar, Paul Engling on bass, and Daniel Conradi on drums. Beginning in 1998, the band has released 3 albums along with several singles. Martin is also a lawyer and co-founder of Apricot Records. Brideshead have finished a soon-to-be-released 4th album entitled You Are the Light on Shelflife. Well, welcome, Martin.
Hello. Thank you for having me here.
You're very welcome. Well, take us back to the beginning. Where were you born?
I still live in Wiesbaden, and I'm actually born in my hometown. Yeah, maybe that's why I like traveling. Yeah, but yeah, still living in my hometown, Wiesbaden.
Okay, well, I'm like that too. I'm a native Dallasite. Live in and around Dallas all my life. A little bit in San Antonio, but mostly around this area. Well, do you have fond childhood memories?
Fond childhood memories? If I have memories from
yes, childhood, in particular, as it referring to hearing music in the household.
Yeah, it was a pity my parents weren't much of a record collectors. I mean, they had vinyl, they had some, yeah. So like 2 Beatles albums, yeah, Sgt. Pepper or Let It Be and Boney M, something like that. ABBA. So I'm often surprised when you're hearing radio channels focusing on the 70s, how much music you actually know, yeah, because maybe you weren't so aware of this music because you were small, but yes, so the 70s, you grow up with hearing these music, yeah, sure.
Right. Well, you know, it's funny how with time, a lot of that music when it first came out when you were younger, it wasn't so cool. But with time, your tastes mature, and at least with myself, I go back and I say, "Oh, that's really good stuff. I didn't like it at the time, but you know, you kind of your taste mature."
Yeah, I mean, as a teenager, maybe a bit snobbish or
right.
too focused on certain things. So I never. Well, let's say I'm surprised that I can now listening with pleasure to Steely Dan or something, yeah. So when you would ask me in the beginning of the 80s, no, yeah.
Yeah, the cool kids weren't into that. Yeah, that kind of thing too. Yeah. Well, can you remember the first single or album that you bought?
I think my very first single really was West End Girls by the Pet Shop Boys.
Ah, okay. I have that one. Yeah.
That was my first 45 single. My first long play vinyl album was a sampler. It was advertised in German radio about Neue Deutsche Welle, New German Wave. Maybe you've heard of. We had so after, you know, there was no real punk scene or open punk scene in Germany, but we had like a new wave with singing in German, which was maybe the last cool, yeah, music movement nationwide. Yeah. So I had to buy this sampler because it was advertised everywhere. I think that was my first LP.
Ah, okay. Yeah, I had that. Yeah, West End Girls, and I believe the B-side was "A Man Could Get Arrested." You remember that? And and the one that was on that 7-inch or the EP was a lot better than what was on the album itself. You know. So well, take us. Did you have a favorite record store that you like to go to? Or
nowadays?
Back when you were, let's say, a teenager, when you started
Okay.
getting into music.
I mean, we had a few in our hometown, which are all no longer exist. And I think sometimes you forget how hard it was to get certain records. Yeah? I mean, we had a small record shop who had really good connections, or they had really good connections to the UK. So when the first Sarah record single came out, you really were able to buy them in a shop, yeah, which was great, because otherwise you had to go through certain mail orders and send them some vouchers. Yeah, there was no PayPal at all, and okay, I'm sounding like now grandpa telling from the war, but yes, it was difficult. Yeah, and with my friend Johannes, we traveled a lot to London. Yeah, getting cheap plane tickets and going for once or twice a year to London, and then go through all these video music exchange stores with their bargain basements. Yeah, that was, I mean, we could dig through records for days. Yeah, and then in the evening we all put them on our blankets in our cheap Pakistani hotel rooms and were happy about our treasures we found.
Yes, it was like you were like a kid in a candy store.
Yes. Yeah.
I remember those days, very well. Did you see my recent talk with Ken McCluskey, the Bluebells?
I saw that you done it. I haven't seen it.
Okay.
Yeah.
We talked a little bit about that, going to the record stores and the 7 inches and the singles and that kind of thing. So, well, can you remember first concert that you attended?
The first concert, it might be Depeche Mode. So
Okay.
that was, I guess, the tour after People Are People, I guess. And I was a Depeche Mode fan. Yeah, I really liked them a lot.
Yes.
And the concert was great. Yeah. I think it was Depeche Mode. Mm-hmm.
Yes. I've seen them 2 or 3 times. They come through here. But yeah, my brother used to really be into Depeche Mode. I was too. You mentioned. I heard you mention Sarah. I knew Sarah Records label had to be a big influence. Were there other bands, or before you joined a band, that were influential?
Yeah, I mean, when you're listening to music, when I was like 14, 15, it was Depeche Mode, it was Talk Talk. I love Talk Talk.
Talk Talk, yes.
And I mean, it was a coming of age story with listening to them. Yeah, I mean, I grew up with them, how they develop as artists. And then, like, overall, I think for a lot of people was the Smiths, yeah, for sure. So they introduced me to this whole guitar indie pop thing, yeah. And you were always trying to find something, not the same, but maybe similar. So yeah, there came the Go-Betweens. Trash Can Sinatras, yeah, the whole label thing, yeah, you were experiencing or developing your taste through labels, for sure, creation, and like the small labels the Sunny Tien guys had, and as I in the beginning, my record collection was so I've in my shelf there were not alphabetically, there were with labels, yeah. So it was and but it was harder these days, yeah, to find it. And it was, I mean we're Germans, yeah, it was a different language, yeah. So you really couldn't understand all the lyrics, yeah, but something, but it made it more sophisticated and mysterious sometimes. Yeah, we're listening to English or sometimes American,
Right.
indie pop. Yeah, so yes.
Yeah. Well, you know, that I always feel that, you know, music, good music is universal anyway. And even if you don't know the lyrics, you can appreciate, you know, the melodies, you know,
Yes.
in the music. So, do you remember, was there any kind of music scene around you at that time prior to Brideshead?
Um, Retrospectively, we had a few bands in Wiesbaden. I mean, it's a small city, but we had a few bands here, all connected somehow. Yeah, because we were more or less the same age. But I guess we were really the only band more connected to this English indie pop guitar sound, or maybe Scottish, British to say. And most of my friends, they were more into this college, more rockish sound like Dinosaur or Weezer, or I mean, I love the Pixies, yeah, Steve Albini sound, this rough sound, but they were more into this American college rock thing, yeah, and we were always more focusing on the British scene.
Yeah. You know, I've always, I'm an Anglophile. I've always loved the UK music ever since the 80s, you know, and before that. But I don't think our music here compares to it. It really never has. There's a few good bands here, you know, but I've always reached across the ocean, you know, I mean, you know, across the pond, as they say,
Mm.
for my influences and the kind of music that I absorb and enjoy. Well, talk about how Brideshead did form, how you guys came together.
Um, for sure, it wasn't my very first band, but I had like two before that, all with friends and all connected. And I had a friend from school. We were graduating together, and he was more into, for us at this time, uncool music like old Genesis records, or yeah, more 70s rockish stuff. So like Punk Never Happened.
Yeah.
But I mean, he was a guy who played guitar, which was something.
That's a
And
plus.
he knew, or he fancied a girl who also fancied another guy, and we knew he played guitar and he had a Vespa, which was both together pretty cool.
Yeah, yeah.
And so we asked him if he would join the band. That was Hans Christian. And yeah, then from our first band, the bass player joined, and we found a drummer who also had practically a practicing room, because you know drummers mostly can't play at home, so he had a place.
Right.
So that was very convenient. So that was the first lineup for the first 2 or 3 years only, and then only Hans Christian and I were still there, and the others left for. There was nothing wrong. It was just life. They moved to different cities and started studying somewhere completely else. Or the drummer, I think he started studying in France. But we also started our label Apricot Records, and we got befriended with Zwen Keller, and he had a 4-track solo project called Dan Barron, and we asked him to join Brideshead, yeah, because we thought
Okay.
he fitted perfectly. He came to one of our concerts, and we asked him, and then we found Paul and our drummer Daniel, also Daniel, and that was the first lineup with the first LP. And we went to US for 4 gigs with this lineup. So these were from 1994 to 1990 or 1998, maybe. Yeah.
Okay. Well, did you guys play live quite a bit early on?
I mean, we played before Corona. We played Cologne Pop Fest, which was a pretty nice thing. This year they had the first time after Corona with very nice artists. And the last time we've played Cologne with Close Lobsters, Primitives.
Yeah, Close Lobsters.
The Lodger, that was a very nice thing. That was the last time, 4 years ago, I think. Yeah.
Do you recall recording sessions for Some People Have All the Fun?
Yes, I remember very well because our recording engineer, the first album was on Marsh Marigold Records in Hamburg, pretty cool label. And he sent us the engineer from Hamburg, and our practicing room was in my parents' house in the basement, and there were also a room to sleep. So he slept there for 2 weeks, and we were like recording the whole day, and whoever was available for some special instruments we can't play, or we just don't have the instruments. Someone was always driving around here in our Rhine-Main area, picking up someone and bringing them to my parents' home to record in the basement. And the most interesting thing maybe from this recording session is in the beginning, we started, or usually you start when you do a track by track with the drums. And he said, I need, because the room was filled with foam, to not to annoy my parents enough too much. And he said, but for drums it's not cool. We need something that reflects the sound. And we were thinking about where we can do this. And we had a big, near the main station in Wiesbaden, there's a big slaughterhouse. Now it's our main and biggest concert hall. And at this time, it was just the last days of the slaughterhouse. I think there were no more pigs slaughtered, but it smelled not very nice. Right. But I know these guys who wanted to start something there, practicing room for bands and possibilities to play live. So we asked them, they had a big room completely with tiles, wide room, completely with tiles. So we were able to use this, and we brought all the mobile equipment, recording equipment into this completely tiled room and recording the drums there, because he wanted to have this, reflection sound. And these were the drums, and all the rest, all the other tracks were recorded in my parents' house basement.
Yeah, I've heard that too. Getting the tiles, and some bands have even recorded in the bathroom because of the tiles, So that's interesting, Well, I wanted to, what I normally do, mention a few tracks that I appreciate, that I have an affinity for, and maybe get some background or some, inspiration or story behind the songs, if you would.
Yeah.
Is that good? Okay. All right. Arrogance or Elegance. Really nice track.
I always remember my friend Dirk, who died a few years ago already, and because he wrote this, and he was in my band before, but he was never part of Brideshead. But he came up with this not easy to play lick, and said we have to do something with that. It sounded a bit like maybe Aztec Camera, some jazzish sound. And but I knew that we can't bring this into Brideshead. But at this time we were called Starfish, and there was, from a big radio station here in our area, was a yeah, for newcomer bands you can send some tracks and, I don't know, win something. And I took Dirk and Hans Christian and we recorded this on a 4-track. And this was this demo version of Arrogance or Elegance, and we sent it to the radio, never heard anything of it. But we were pretty proud on it because it was very much the first track. I thought I sound like Lloyd Cole, and we were happy with this 4-track recording. And we brought this, because this project needed to have a name, and that was Brideshead. And the main band was still called Starfish. So, but when we get to know that there were several Starfish and labels, and so Starfish was relatively common, we switched the name to this very uncommon name, Brideshead. And yeah, we re-recorded this track with the whole band. Yeah, but still, it always reminds me on Dirk, who is no longer alive. Yeah.
Okay. You know, and name dropping all of these bands, it's right up my alley. I was into everything you've mentioned. All, you know, Aztec Camera, all of those bands. So you can tell by the influences if you're going to like a band. So let's say I'd never heard your music before, but then I just heard your influences or read about your influences. I would want to, you know, seek you out. I would want to, you know, investigate, because more than likely I would like your music. And it's true. It's true. It's been time. I really like the guitar in this one, but the song's too short. I wish it was longer.
Yeah, we like, I mean, we not only have short songs, but we were big fans of McCarthy. Big in the beginning. Yeah, I'm a Wallet was our Bible. Yeah, so we tried to copy the drums, and so, and they had this very short, very nice, euphoric, melody-packed songs. So if it's over, yeah, maybe you have an urge and aching and want to hear it again. Yeah, so do so. Yeah, I mean that's about short songs. Yeah, so I like short songs.
You're right. That is the positive side of it. You're right. It makes you want more. You're right. I was just looking up. Yeah, I have another website, and I'll send you the link to it after this. And if you have some time,
sure.
time to waste, let's say, I've got a bunch of songs on there from just various artists. But The Way of the World is one of my. Yeah, I posted that on. I was just looking at. Yeah. All of their songs were very, very short, but you know, efficient and effective. Well, now this is probably my favorite song on the whole album, Shampoo Bubble. It's one of those perfect pop songs, you know.
Yeah, thank you. I have a friend from Japan, and he reminded me of this song because he played it to someone who was also, I like him very much, and like his music, and he played this song to him, and I thought, yeah, maybe that was a good choice. My brother is 6 years younger than I am, and he had a girlfriend at this time who, I don't think, what is it in English? In German, it's oboe.
Yeah,
it's a wooden instrument.
Oboe.
Yeah,
oboe is
okay. And she played this instrument. We had two versions of this song. There is first we recorded it for because I told you there was kind of a scene in Wiesbaden, and there was a sampler with collecting bands of the scene, and we wanted to show the other bands, and that we can really do it. and it was maybe of the really first proper recorded songs. And yeah, she played this oboe on this track. And I'm not always doing the lyrics in the old newer LPs. The music and the lyrics are from Zwen, but this is a lyric I've done. So I still like it, yeah, because there's maybe some truth in it.
Yes, you mentioned oboe. That is one of my favorite instruments, and I imagine you're a China Crisis fan too, right?
Sure, yeah.
There's a few of their songs.
That's true. Yeah, there is a wishful thinking vibe to this song.
Right, right. And it's so, I mean, it just hits the spot, you know. It's melancholy, but it's beautiful, you know. Just love that sound. Well, I like the addition of the synth and short-sightedness. Yeah, that's another really nice track off of there.
Yeah, this is I mean, it's kind of a definition of the Brideshead sound. Yeah, we have this guitar sound. It's short. You have certain drums. You have a certain. We have lots of songs that are 180 BPM, which is relatively quick.
Yeah.
So that was the first song in the original lineup. I really liked, yeah. Because in the beginning, yeah, you don't know, yeah, everyone has his ideas, but there is no real band style maybe where you wanted to go to. So this was the first song I thought, yeah, that's the, for me, the right direction. Yeah.
Right. Well, I have to say about your music, no song sounds the same, you know. You guys mix it up enough, you know, to where it's versatile, and every song is different and unique, and you bring in a lot of different elements, you know, which you know, I appreciate.
Yeah, it's very kind that you say this, because let's say you play to your mom, yeah, or someone who's really not into this music, they're like, they all sound the same. And how can you say that? It's
they would say that. Yeah, I guess you're right. You're right. You have to grow up with that kind of music, and I appreciate it, I think.
Yeah, maybe.
Well, here's another one, another nice instrument, I believe, on Hidden Talents. Nice with just the guitar, and that's a cello, right?
Yes.
Okay.
It's a cello.
Yeah.
It's the guy who recorded us. He not only done the recordings, we went to him, I think, for a week and slept in his very, very small apartment. He had a bunk bed, and beneath the bed, there was the mixing desk. Yeah. And it was summer, and we were in this very small room with the mixing desk. And yeah, he played cello, and he played this part. I think it was his idea. And he doesn't like the sound of the cello on the recording in the beginning, and then he put a socket around it because it had a certain humming sound he doesn't like. So he wrapped the socket around the cello to have a more, I don't know, mellow sounding sound. So this was him on this cello. Yeah, we never or seldom had the chance to have more string instruments, right. Sometimes just one, and try to double it in a digital way. So yeah, one channel.
It works. Let me tell you, it works. And I love the line, "You wanted to love me, but you can't love yourself." You know, that's you got to love yourself first.
Yeah.
Right? You know, very, very
maybe
good.
It's a dull truth, but it is the truth. Yeah.
It is. Well, do you remember how well the album was received? Let's see.
The first album was very well received, and we were because this lineup really worked well, and we done this tour in the US, and we were so euphoric. And then our drummer Daniel had to move job-wise from Wiesbaden to Hamburg, which is 4.5, 5 hour drive. So it's
That's far, yeah.
and there were no, so the band was, yeah, and we didn't find any drummer. So for years, so it was really hard. We had some drummers tried, some drummers, drum player, but for example, if you have, I think it's the first proper Shelflife sampler with all the records in the shelf.
Yes,
And
yes.
we so Shelflife bands were covering Shelflife bands, and we covered "Love Make the Sunshine Bright." So this was with a drummer we had for years, yeah, but never really made it to an album with him. This was the only record we done with him. He was originally from a ska band.
Okay.
I liked it. I liked his playing because it wasn't so loud. We always had drummer who came from like the punk side, which is nice when it's quick, but it's always loud.
Yes.
And for a singer in when you're practicing, it's, yeah, you always need big amplification and you have feedbacks, because when the drummer is loud, sure, the guitarists are loud and the bass player says, I can't hear myself, and then he turns up. So everyone is pretty loud. So we are pretty loud in the practice room always. And yeah, so this was the ska drummer. He was very quiet, and so I like this more jazzish approach of his drumming. But yeah, it was a short period.
Yeah. I'll tell you the flip side of that is a heavy band, you know, that wants that heavy beat, you know, drumming sound, and then they end up with a jazz drummer, or somebody's auditioning, you know, with the brushes, and I had one guy talk to me, he said, this is not going to work. It's not going to work, you know, in this kind of a band. So yeah, the getting the right drummer in the rhythm section is so important. Well, moving on to 2002's In and Out Love. This was the first album that I actually got from you guys, released on Apricot.
Yes.
Talk about the cover art. Who did that? Where did that come from?
Yeah, we had our label Apricot Records, so with Hans Christian and my friend Johannes, so 3 guys doing this label. And we had a band from Hamburg, Les Garçons, and I think one of the guitarists was a graphic designer, and we always had a lack of graphic designers, because in these days was it even more difficult than nowadays to create something and make it printable. You still needed digital was something, but sometimes you still needed these foil things to print something. Yeah. And we asked him, and we wanted to bring out the album, and he had some ideas. In the end, we were not so happy with him because we got a email from an artist in Japan who said it's his artwork. And actually, it looked like his artwork. The guy from Hamburg, just changed the colors a bit, and we were really angry about him because, sure, we didn't want to have something stolen from another artist. I don't think he's still angry about us, but yeah, I'm not this happy with the cover. For me, it's too sweet and maybe too manga-like, but I think it worked.
Yeah.
It wasn't like a proper album because it collected songs from different period which were just there, and we put it all together.
Yeah. Well, no offense, but the instrumental Books and Bossa may be my favorite Brideshead track.
Okay.
I'd say no offense because you're the singer, you're the vocalist.
Yeah, I like it. I like it. I for a while I used it. You introduced me that I'm also a lawyer. Yes, I'm a lawyer for migration law, and we had it on as a waiting music on our telephone. So if someone calls and it's he can't get through, he hears or she hears Books and Bossa. We liked it, and we, at this time there was a big focus on so-called easy listening music. Yeah, so we were kind of into it, and we urged our trumpet player to improvise for minutes, and then we took the best bits and glued them together on this track.
Well, another track, Present Time, great soaring chorus in that one. And then it plays out the second half of the song, I think, just beautifully.
Yeah, we were happy to have four string players for this track. And usually we use the studio in Mainz. Wiesbaden is direct the opposite. The River Rhine is Mainz. And so two relatively big cities together, just separated by the river. And our studio was in Mainz. And yeah, it's a city from the Romans, and they have the city goes from the river hill up, and in these hills there were lots of cellars for wine and sparkling wine, and not only so it goes like 3 times in the earth, and the studio is, I think it's the deepest, and you have these cave-like constructions. And there was a big hall. I don't know what they've done there, or if it was all for wine. And it was, before you entering the studio, there was this big hall. And we recorded the string players outside the studio in this cellar hall, like, I don't know, it felt a bit like Lord of the Rings, Khazad-dûm. So this was them, but we wanted to have a song like Belle and Sebastian, not copying it, but we were wanted to have this light sounding sound of the music, and so maybe this it has the spirit. And the single, there's a single to the song, and it glows in the dark. It has a special vinyl that glows in the dark.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Wow. So you can turn off the lights and
you
play.
can turn off the lights.
Oh, wow.
And there was, we had this pressing plant in Czech Republic, and so near Prague. And it was before even Czech Republic was part of the EU. So it was not hard, it's not easy to communicate with them, because English was not, even German was not a common language. And we explained to them, we don't want to have a 3-color label on the vinyl. We want just black, using the color black, because it was cheaper. So, and they had the film, they had the labels, so they could see what should be on there. And when we got the records, the first batch, it was a complete black label, because I wrote to them, we just wanted to have a black, but it was just, I just was mentioning the color. So we were like, I mean, in these days, the first batch was like 1,000 singles, and we so, but they were kind. They made a complete new batch with correct label, but we still kept these singles for sure. And when we played last time the Pop Fest in New York and Brooklyn, we gave them away for free. So everyone who entered got one of these, because it was still the glow in the dark singer. So we thought it might be cool.
Yeah, yeah. I wonder why more bands, artists haven't picked up on that glow in the dark. That's a great idea.
Maybe it's not very environmentally, maybe not. I really don't want to know how they do it. Maybe it's with radioactive stuff. I don't know.
Yeah, you never know what's in that. Right. Well, On Your Trail, great guitar and up-tempo track. I think that's one of the band's best.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, and it's still fun to play live. Yeah, my challenge is always to keep up with the tambourine. We changed the song for live a little bit, I think, for the better. Yeah, and you always have these when you creating, or I mean, in the creative process. Yeah, when you don't live in a bubble. Yeah, you always have some sounds you are reminded of, and with this song for sure we were reminded of the Bodines, William Shatner, or something like that. Yeah, we really like these layers of guitars, and so this, we were not aiming for it, but when we were finishing it, we thought, oh, this sounded a lot like Bodines.
Yeah, that's one. Yeah, that's one band, probably one of many that's, at least over here, their material is really hard to come by. Bodines. You know, I'm always searching out, and unless I go to a used store and happen to, whoa, here's one, run across it, you have to order it over the internet or through Amazon or whatever. But yeah, I've enjoyed their material as well. No Answer. To me, it has kind of a country vibe. Is that safe to say that? Yeah, nice track. Love's Not Rational. Don't ask why.
Yeah. My lyrics. Yeah, I think these a bit lonely sounding trumpet. There was it sounds horrible, but they're quite nice. There's in Hamburg a hip hop 3-piece band, and they had a song called Jein, which in German is a mixture of yes and no. So if you don't, it's Jein, it's ja und nein, Jein. So they have a song called Jein, and they had a video with like mariachi clothes, or like Tex-Mex, I don't know what it should be, and I was always reminded of this German hip-hop band song, because it has this borrowed little bit country-ish vibe in it, and I think it makes it doesn't sound like a mariachi trumpet, but it's maybe it's what you maybe have in mind listening to it.
Yeah, really nice. And again, you guys, your tempo changes enough to make every song different, and so that's always welcome when you're listening to a band. Did you guys, you mentioned several times about playing live. Do you enjoy playing live?
I enjoy playing live, but it's always relatively stressful because we have our daytime jobs, and so there's always not enough time to prepare it properly. It's always the minimum so when we say, okay, we need at least 5 weekends, otherwise we cannot play. And then we have maybe 3, and okay, let's do it anyway. Yeah, it's the problem in the last years was that Hans Christian lives in he's working in Basel, which is in Switzerland, and it's directly border to Switzerland and Germany. He's a big pharmacist company CEO now, and he's really busy. I mean, we're all busy, but he's just not here, and which makes it really difficult because you can't prepare enough anymore, and you can't, when you write songs, okay, we leave this blank for Hans Christian to find something nice, but then there's not maybe enough time to find something nice. Yeah, that were problems from the last years. Yeah.
Well, looking back over all those years, are there favorite countries that you played or locales that you've enjoyed?
I mean, for us, it's always a really big thing. I mean, we played in Spain, we played in London, we played 2 times in New York. I mean, these really small US tour for us, it was, I mean, yeah, when you had, I was still in my 20s, and you were like New York, Boston, Philadelphia, Washington. Yeah, that was really amazing. But in the last years, maybe it was Madrid, because in Europe, maybe also in the US, there was Barcelona. Yeah, Barcelona, they have a beach and party, and Barcelona it is. But Madrid is so cool. Yeah. They were so party animals, and yeah, in these Mediterranean countries, they start having dinner like 10. Yeah. So we played at a festival there, a Madrid Pop Fest, and they had a break like 10 or something for dinner time. Yeah. And they were really good crowd. Yeah. And I remember when I said to them, yeah, we also played in New York, and you know, it's the city that never sleeps, but you guys, Madrid is the city that never sleeps. And they were like cheering. So yeah, Spain was and they know the lyrics. Yeah, they knew the lyrics. That was experience of the.
Well, I don't know if it's currently, but they've had for some time a pretty vibrant alternative music scene, you know, yes, there in Spain, and they have some great fans, you know, too. So yeah, as well as, you know, in Holland. Did you play in Holland?
No. Okay. We never played in Holland. We had the chance to play the last Paris Pop Fest, but we couldn't make it. Yeah, we just had the time to practice, which was a pity.
Okay. Well, did you have something else you were going to say? Go ahead.
To playing live, yeah, that's the hardest thing at the moment. Yeah, that we can't find together. And I mean, we done this new record now, which was a powerful act itself over years. Started during Corona, so therefore there were not many other musicians on it. It was just us. What we could play. But that it's finished now, and we done it in 2 different sessions, 6 and 6 songs, but it's 12 completely new songs, never been released before, and 1 acoustic track of another version. So well, yeah, it's more. I mean, you heard maybe some of these. I sent you the link.
You sent some advanced listening. Yeah.
Maybe it's more basic, but I still like it, and I hope the audience like it too.
Well, I didn't want to skip over "Never Grow Up." Wanted to go back to that one. On the cover, which one is you?
You're not the first one asking this question. Right. I was lucky to get in contact with Pinterchan. He's a Spanish guy, yeah. He's also in the scene, Elephant Records and so on, and he's done pretty nice children's books and greeting cards. It sounds so metropolitan now, but it's true. I was in the Tate Modern in London, and they had this gift shop, and he had cards from him, and he had one card, "Never Grow Up," and it was just one guy without the face, long legs, and I said, I like this a lot. I want this for our new record, and I got in contact with him and told him we can't play him a fortune, but I sent him the record. He liked it a lot, and we paid him something, yeah, what he needed, and we sent him a big bag of German licorice, yeah, because he was very into this licorice stuff. So and he was asking me, what do you wear usually, or the whole band, and, Clark's, UK Clark's shoes, sneakers, Fred Perry shirts, Ben Sherman shirts, and he's okay. So there was, but for example, some friends of Zwen, they were 100% sure that I can't remember which of these puppets, but that's him, and we always said no, it's all us. So you can't really say who's who. It's just, but we try to mock up this and dress the same. But yes, you don't want to see the picture. It doesn't justifies the graphic, because we thought, and we like, the hands are this on but we looked so stupid, so that the live picture doesn't work at all.
It doesn't work, the live. The couple of you had hands in your pockets, and then the other others, they were out like that. Well, this one came out on Shelflife.
Yes.
And this may be, it's hard to say, but it may be my favorite album. Class of '86. I like the bells. I like the addition of the bells.
This is something, often when you hear a song and you hear something in your mind which is not there, or yet not there, and we all, or some of us, heard these bells, so and they weren't there. We added them in the studio, and our studio engineer Torsten, he came up with this idea, and for the sound, so we did this. And sometimes you think it's a bold decision to add this, but in the end it fits perfectly, and it doesn't sound strange or avant-garde in any way. It's just, but sometimes in the studio, okay, if we add this really, but now it fits perfectly.
I think it does. I think it does. Little Promise. I like the vibe on this one, although it's another short track.
Oh, do I have any special? I can't remember anything. It's a typical short Brideshead and typical Zwen song. I guess. But this was one effect in the last years, that Zwen has such a creative output. Hans Christian never catched up because he lives in Basel, and Zwen still had songs, always had songs, and the lyrics, which was easy for me. I don't have to write the lyrics, so he still had the lyrics, even they are maybe different than mine, but I don't complain at all. I mean, then when they are finished, I like singing his lyrics. Yeah.
At Melancholy Bay, again, I like the guitar in this one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, I done I tried we were in a holiday in the south of France when we were recording this, or after we recorded this, and I looked at my pictures and I did some videos with my iPhone, and I thought maybe I can cut this to a video to the song, because I thought maybe it has this summery vibe. And the video turned out very crappy, because it's still, even with the tools you have nowadays, it's still really you need to have the skills to make a proper video. I think you still can find it somewhere on YouTube, but yeah, don't expect too much. Yeah, I like the song a lot. I know in the band not everyone was happy with it, but I like it a lot.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I'll try to find, seek that out on YouTube, see if I can find that still out there. Weather report. Nice addition of backing vocals. That's the first time I've heard backing vocals. Maybe you had them in other songs, but I like the ba da da da. I like that. Da, da, yeah,
yeah. Sure. In the practice room, Zwen and Hans Christian, they both usually sing backings. But if possible, sometimes we have some of our wives or girlfriends to we draw them into the studio and force them to do some. Or for example, on our first record, there is this small French sentence, and it was an exchange student from France. And we forced her to speak into our microphone. She's just repeating what I've just sung in English, and she's just repeating the same sentence in French. It sounded a bit, yeah, I don't know, metropolitan. Yeah, so backing vocals, sometimes I'm doubling myself. Sometimes I do the backing vocals too, but most of the time it's Zwen and Hans Christian. And yeah, on the new record, as I told you, it's just us. Yeah, no other instruments.
Well, I want to mention Love in June. I think that's my favorite. I really like the feel of the song, the tempo. I could tell from the very first few notes that I would like that one. And it also it's kind of, you get a little goosebumpy. You know what I'm talking about? You know, when it gets inside you, you know, and it's emotional. I think it's one of the band's top tracks.
Yeah, that it's nice that you say this. We have a befriended band, a small band from the UK, Fragile, and one of the guitarists also had a solo project, The Shining Hour, and the other guitar player of this band, Neil, he thinks it's one of the greatest songs ever written, and we don't know it. We don't know it. They don't know that they wrote such a great song, and I'm always very. I mean, it's nice to hear that that others thinks of this song. I think it's a grower. I think it's a song that grows on you a bit.
Grows on you. Yeah.
Maybe not when you're listening to it the first time, but I think it grows. Yeah.
Yeah. I will. That's wild, because that's another written interview I did with Mark Cohen, The Shining Hour. Yeah. When you said The Shining Hour, I'll send you the link to that too, and you can go back and check out some of the written. It's not as many, it's maybe 20 something interviews, but when you have time, yeah, he was really nice. He was really nice. Yeah, and Apricot Records. There you go. But I like all of what I've heard of his music too. That's interesting. Well, at 45 RPM.
Yeah.
Now this is the band showing their influences in the lyrics and the music.
Yeah, and in the video. Maybe you
Okay.
saw the video.
Yeah.
It's us in Frankfurt and going to Zwen's record collection. For me personally, it's one of our one of the songs I like the most from recent years, because it has I like the lyrics, I like the flow, I like the speed, I like my voice. So it sums up to, so it's the sum of the parts of the band is bigger than each instrument. So this really, and to our engineer Thorsten, he is kind of has some ideas of, like, and he's not really a producer, but we don't have a producer, we just do our stuff. And usually the song was, I think it's more than 180 beats per minute. It's very quick, and you have the drummer has to play it all on the hi-hat. Yeah.
Yes.
And it's really quick. And the live version was all going through the song without a break. And he said, you can't do this. Yeah, it's too annoying. Yeah, to annoy your audience. You have to slow down in after the refrain. And yeah, so we've done this, and I think it's done good this way. So yeah, it came all together, and I really like it.
Yeah. Well, why the hiatus between that album and the new material? Was it mainly due to COVID? You guys couldn't get together?
Yeah, that was the main problem, that we didn't wrote songs together. It was mostly us four, so missing Hans Christian, and yeah, leaving blanks for the lead guitar. But if you have a song where you layer the guitars and you have this wall of guitar sound, you can't find this without the other guitar player. Yeah? So you wrote you like Satellite.
Yes.
This
Yes.
was a complete different song, the same lyrics, same chords, but a complete different flow. And it was one time Hans Christian was there, and we were messing around with the song we weren't happy with. And then we found this, for us, relatively straight guitar sound.
Uh-huh.
And this is something you never could do by sending tracks or doing remote. You have to be in the practice room and find this dynamic guitar sound. And then we all knew that's it. Yeah.
Right.
And now it's maybe one of the best songs of the album. And it
Yeah.
was in the beginning one of the worst. Yeah. So it had a UK rave sound,
Yes,
drums,
right.
with a organ, and it was just lame.
Well, I think you hit on a good point there. All of this bedroom recording and doing it from your own computer. I think you're missing out on the chemistry, like you said. Of having a full band there and feeding off of each other. Working off of each other. There's something to be said about that. The organicness of playing with a band.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I like studio, and in music history, like the Beatles stopped playing live, and then Revolver came, and you can hear this. Having the studio as an instrument, or XTC or something. With Rundgren, Summer's Golden, that's great. So I like, especially as a singer, because it's always so loud, and for us it's always so loud in the practice room. But if you want, especially if you like guitars and if you want a certain guitar sound, practice room is important.
Yeah, Yeah, it is. Well, again, I said there's enough variance in your songs, especially with the guitars too. I got to say that some of them, even treated a little bit differently sometimes, that you can hear that and played differently, strum sometimes picked, so there's enough of that, and it works. It really works. Another song, Worn Out Rhymes. That's another really great track, I think.
Yeah, Worn Out Rhymes. I did the singing after a rough day in the office. So I went there in the evening, and my voice were really there, and Thorsten was not happy with me. But I think in the end, I tried to manage it. Yeah, it's a nice Swedish song, and has a. I never ask him about his lyrics, yeah, because lyrics are lyrics. You don't have to, or especially even if I'm singing it. But I think he's always happy with his wife, and I'm always thinking that he writes everything for his wife. So this is always what I have in mind when I'm singing it. It's for her. Yeah.
Yeah. And has he always been happy the way you sing his songs?
Yeah.
For the most part, yeah.
Maybe it's surprising, but I hope we never. I think he would have told me.
He would have told you that.
He will do, as Dan Barron, an album with duets, and Hideki Kaji, Pear from X-Stone, and myself. So that's the line that you know.
Yes, X-Stone.
So we done together a duet, and I'm really happy with it. Yeah, but it's a bit funny because we didn't do it in the studio. We did it here in this room. And when you're in studio, you have Thorsten always like a, I don't know, teacher, headmaster. And again, that was nice, but again, like 10 times. And when we were recording ourselves, we did one track. It's nice, isn't it? Yeah, I like it. I like it too. Okay, keep it that way.
Yeah. Well, talking about I was just looking real quick, the Sarah bands. Another interview. Did you see my Paul Stewart interview?
Yes.
Blue Boy. Yeah. That was another. And then, I reached out to Another Sunny Day and Brighter. That's some great stuff. Field Mice. Couldn't get any response from Rob. What's his name? Robert. Rob. Yeah, Rob. Yeah, couldn't get an answer from him. So, yeah, there's a lot of those bands I'd love to talk to, members of.
Yeah, when you 45 RPM has this Field Mice flow. Yeah.
Yes.
Even if it's not drum computer, but it has this. Yeah. It reminded me always a bit on Field Mice. Yeah.
Bobby Ratton. That's I couldn't think of it's Bobby. And then one last, and this is just from the first listen. I picked up on these three. I'll go back and listen some more. But Hold On is another one, another top track, I think.
Yeah, it has this distinctive drum playing. Yeah. What can I tell you about the song? Yeah, it has a certain atmosphere. I can't tell you. There's no story about it.
Okay, that's all right.
It's feelings. Yeah. It has this laid back drumming sound, and yeah, but I can't. I have no words for this. Maybe, yeah. I'm sorry.
That's all right. That's all right. No problem. You know, I kind of put you on the spot with these. Didn't really go into detail and tell you that I was going to be asking about, you know, individual songs, but I appreciate your responses. And the album cover is that like an older photograph? It looks like in Hollywood. It looks like one of those older houses, you know, kind of built on the hillside.
From the
From the new
it was
album.
just a draft, an idea I had. It's the
Okay.
Stahlhaus in LA.
Okay.
It's one of
Yes.
the
Yeah.
mid-century iconic houses from
Yeah.
the Hollywood Hills. And
Yeah.
when I was in LA, I had to visit it because I'm a big fan. So we done in one day. We were at the Eames's house and we were at Stahlhaus so for me it was like, oh. And it was an evening tour, and I did this photo, even it's a bit blurry because you weren't allowed to have an actual photo. You only were allowed to use mobile phones. But I have a draft from Ed now with a different cover, and if we use this, he is suggesting, and I like it. It's a sky blue Beetle Volkswagen on it. So it's
okay.
with a California number plate. So we have this California connection and maybe the German vibe through the car. Yeah, let's see.
There you go. There you go. Yeah. Well, I like the whole retro, you know, movement with you know, the music that was on, you know, these labels, Apricot, Shelflife, you know, Matinee, you know, all of those. I like just the whole, and a lot of the album covers do that, you know, do the retro, you know. So that's always, you know, it kind of goes back to the influences again. You know?
Yeah, maybe it serves a very certain audience, but yeah, why not?
Yeah, exactly. All right, well, Martin, can you think of anything else in closing that you'd like to plug or mention or talk about?
I mean, we're focusing now on the album. I have to ask, maybe with your interview, I can remind Ed again, because we said to him, things with Brideshead are always slow, yeah, because we have our jobs. And you know, nowadays, if you do vinyl, it takes like 10 months in advance to plan the whole release with pressing and everything. I mean, some things are much easier, but it takes some time. So I'm looking forward to have this album out, because you never know, maybe it's the last one. So I'm still happy to have this album, and thank you so much for having me. Yeah, it was a great pleasure.
You're very welcome. Well, we'll keep our fingers crossed it won't be the last album. Okay. Our fans out there too. We'll hope it's not. Okay. Well, Martin, you have a good dinner.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
And save some leftovers for me. If you don't eat it all, save some for me. Okay.
I will send something with DHL. Yeah.
There you go. Oh, wouldn't that be lovely once it finally got here? Oh, okay. Yeah. Fax it to me. How about that? Fax it.
Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you, Martin, and all the best to you. And I will send you a copy of this once I get it edited.
Great. Thank you.
All right.
Auf Wiedersehen.
All right. I'll see you soon. All right. Cheers.